Hello, friend. Welcome back to Couch Tales, Why We Do What We Do, the podcast where we try to figure out why humans do the weird things we do so we can stop emotionally tripping over our own feet. Today's episode, why do we avoid talking about our feelings? I mean, think about it. Why is it easier to say, "Oh, I'm fine," instead of "Actually, I'm emotionally exhausted, I haven't slept well in weeks, and I cried at a dog food commercial this morning"? Why do we avoid conversations that could actually help us feel better? And why do some of us treat emotions like a game of hot potato? Well, my friend, let me tell you the legendary tale of Ethan and the great almost breakup. Ethan and Sarah had been dating for 2 years. Everything was great except for one small issue. Ethan hated talking about feelings. Like, really hated it. If emotions were a horror movie, Ethan was running full speed in the opposite direction. One day, Sarah noticed Ethan was acting off. He was quiet, distracted, and kept making this face when she asked if he was okay. So naturally, she asked, "Hey, what's wrong?" And what did Ethan say? "Nothing. I'm fine." Spoiler alert, Ethan was not fine. A few days later, Sarah found out, though, his best friend, that Ethan was stressed about work, worried about money, and feeling overwhelmed. Sarah was furious, not because he was struggling, but because he didn't tell her. So they had the talk. Sarah said, "Why didn't you just tell me? I'm literally here to help." Ethan said, "I don't know. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it." Sarah replied, "You didn't want to make a big deal out of it, but now I'm mad. You're stressed and we're both miserable." "That sounds like a big deal, Ethan." And in that moment, Ethan realized something. Avoiding feelings didn't make them go away. It just made them explode later. Why do we do this to ourselves? We bottle things up, avoid awkward conversations, and pretend we're fine when we're actually just one bad day away from stress eating an entire pizza. But why? Psychology has some answers. Number one, the emotions are weakness myth. From a young age, many of us are taught that showing emotions equal weakness. Big boys don't cry. Don't be so sensitive. Tough it out. No one likes a complainer. Society basically hands us an emotional backpack and says, "Shove everything in here and keep it moving, buddy." By the time we're adults, we've gotten so used to suppressing emotions that we actually struggle to talk about them, even when we need to. Number two, the OG of psychoanalysts would blame your childhood, the man who made everything about your parents. He believed that our early experiences shape how we handle emotions. If you grew up in a home where feelings weren't discussed, your brain learned that talking about emotions is not safe. So now, when someone asks, "How are you really feeling?" your brain screams, "Danger, run!" Even if nobody's actually judging you, your subconscious is, "Better not risk it." The brain is lazy and avoids discomfort. Talking about feelings requires effort. Emotional vulnerability is uncomfortable, and the brain hates discomfort. Instead of having an awkward but helpful conversation, your brain says, "Nah, just say you're fine." And we listen until, like Ethan, we end up in emotional disaster mode. But here's the secret. Talking about feelings makes life easier. People who talk about their emotions are less anxious, have stronger relationships and friendships, are less likely to explode over small things like Ethan almost did. Basically, avoiding emotions doesn't protect you, it just delays the inevitable. How do we get better at this? Start small. If deep conversations scare you, start with something light. "I had a rough day." That is better than nothing. Or write it down. If words are hard, journaling can help you process emotions before talking about them. Remember, vulnerability equals strength. Expressing emotions isn't weak. It's actually what makes you stronger, healthier, and happier. Next time you feel like saying, "I'm fine," when you're clearly not fine, stop. Take a breath. Say something real, because, trust me, it's better than getting ambushed by your own emotions later. All right, that's it for today's episode of Couch Tales, Why We Do What We Do. I'm your host, Analia. If you like this episode, subscribe, share, and maybe go have that honest conversation you've been avoiding. Until next time.